Hello, everybody. My name's Shannon Brody, and today's session is about the organization chart. But before we get into that, I'm just going to highlight the new release, which was made live last night. So for those of you who haven't logged into your TouchStone account today or last night, you'll be pleasantly surprised with the new release. The main thing that happened in the new release is the expansion of the user interface to other parts of TouchStone. So this dashboard user interface that you're all used to seeing is now been integrated throughout the Org.Chart, the 4 key functions, and the job description page. So if we go to the organization chart here, you'll notice the look and feel of this has changed. Everything is the same in your TouchStone account. So all of your positions, your job descriptions, everything that you built prior is all the same. Just the look is a little different. That's it. A few key features on the organization chart. If you can search for positions right here with this little magnifying glass. This is probably only useful for people who have really large organization charts and you're looking to find a particular position on the chart. You can now zoom your org chart. So I'm just rolling my mouse out or in and now out. So there gets to be a point with larger charts where you get so small like you can't really see it. I have a really large screen monitor, so mine can get really big. But obviously you'll find that out. But you can get really large into the boxes as well. You can also pull your chart from left to right like you were able to do before. If you want to see just one side of the chart, then if you make it bigger and then scroll over like I'm doing, then I can see just this area if I want to. So zoom in and out. This will make it a little easier for people who are dead set on printing their charts. Those of you who know me know that I think things should not be printed, but having said that, you could make it about this big. And then if you want to go and take like a screenshot of your chart like this, then for those of you with bigger charts, you probably can get it all into the view screen without having to print, on with a special printer. The functionality of editing and changing the organization chart has changed a bit, and this goes along with the topic of the technical training for today, which is the organization chart. So let's talk about that. If you want to edit the title of a position, delete a position, or add a position, you click these 3 little edit dots, which are right in the bottom right corner here of the position. And here I can edit the title of this position. I can add a new position, or I could remove it, which means deleting that position. So the org chart is built from the bottom up. So if you want to add a box to the chart, you would choose the position you want to add it under. So choose the position you want to add that new box under. So you click the 3 dots, choose add, and then the new box appears. The new boxes will always appear first as untitled, and then you'll want to go in and put in the title of that position. So you can do that either by going back to the 3 little dots here and choosing edit, or you can just simply select the position title, and then it takes me to the job description for this position. And then I hit this little edit pencil here, and then I can put in the name of the position and then save it. So it appears as untitled, and then you give it a title. Right underneath the name of the position is this field where the objective belongs. So to add the objective, you can just click this little edit pencil, and then this is where the objective goes. The objective is the purpose of the position. It's the reason that it exists. So now let's just go back here to the organization chart. For those of you who have added objectives to your position, to your boxes on the org chart already, if you just click that existing position, then you'll see the objective here in this field. If you want to remove a position from the org chart, doesn't matter which one, you just select the 3 edit dots and then you hit remove. So when I hit remove, it's going to give me one chance to change my mind. I say okay, and then that box is gone. So everything to do with adding positions, editing titles, deleting positions is inside the box itself, and you can access it with these 3 dots. Boxes can still be moved around the chart with drag and drop. So I'm just like pull this one and put it here, and then this drops underneath it, or I can pull it up here and drops over here. So drag and drop is the same as it was before. I can move positions around from one tree to the other. The chart also has expand collapse now. So if I click this button here under President, then you see all those boxes disappear. So this is a way you could probably print trees a little easier if you wanted to. So if you just wanted to print I'm just minusing these departments out. If I just wanted to see this tree with a managerial row and print that, I could. So if you're a manager of a department and you don't necessarily want to talk about the whole org chart and you want it to print in a nicer view, or you're just talking about your department, you can collapse the positions to where you only see this one department, or collapse them all and just talk about the managerial structure. And then if you want to expand them back out, you just hit the plus and then these pop back out again. So that's kind of fancy. One limitation that we're dealing with right now is the size of these boxes. So some of you may have long position titles, and TouchStone now in this new version is going to cut off the title after 4 words, I think it is. So if I click this and I edit this position, Manager of Marketing and Sales, and I say and Finance, and hit Save, if I go back to the chart here, you'll see it's cut off. So this is just a programming issue with this new version. It's something we're working on, and we will come up with a fix for, but we didn't want to hold up the new release because of it. This is only going to be annoying to those of you who have long position titles, or maybe you've put everybody's names and who fills that role into the box itself, and you're used to being able to see that from the face of the chart. To me, and this is just my personal preference, that way of doing it looks a little sloppy anyway. But having said that, we will work out the width and the length of these boxes, and so you'll be able to do that again if you want to. Having said that, if you click the box, you're going to see the full title right here on the job description page. So let's go back. Let's go back here. So we're going to come back here to the organization chart, and I'm going to talk more about this because that is the topic of the technical training. But before we get to that, let's just talk about the changes to the job descriptions. So when I click a position on the chart, it takes me to the job description just like it did before. All this functionality is the same. If you want to add an existing process, one that is already on the 4 key functions, then you go here. If you want to add a new process, you go here. Pretty easy. If you want to print your job description and or the operating manual for the position, then you go here. The print has a much nicer kind of look and feel to it in the print mode. So you see it here. The spacing's better. I think it just looks a little nicer with the headers and everything. So for those of you who like to print, we'll enjoy that. One change under Add Existing Process, if you go Add Existing Process, and then you go to a subfunction. Let's go to management here. Now there are more managerial processes in this subfunction than the ones I'm seeing here. The reason I'm not seeing them all is because some of them are already added to this job description. So this one that says General Employee Coaching and Training, well, I can't add that again because it's already here. So that's a change. Before you could add duplicates to a job description, which was a problem. So just remember, if you're going to add a process and you don't see it when you go to that subfunction that you know it's in, most likely it's because it's already on the job description, which it just stops you from adding duplicates. If you want to remove a process from a job description, you just hover over it, and you're going to see these little remove buttons over here to the right. So I'm just like, all I'm doing is dragging my mouse. I'm not even clicking on anything, and I see these little remove buttons. All of the processes are still drag and drop, so I can reorder them. Just pull them up and pull them down like this. You can also reorder from strategic to tactical like this. So drag up and drag down, same as before. All right, so that is the new look and feel for the job descriptions. Let's go over to the 4 key functions here quickly. So inside of the 4 key functions, you'll find the new user interface as well. It looks a lot different, although the functionality is the same and improved. So the 4 key functions are now in these folders, or they look like tabs going from left to right. So I know I'm in guiding the business here because these little lines are showing me I'm in this tab. I also know I'm in guiding because it's bolded over here in the left navigation. If I want to go to getting, I just click getting in the tab right here, and then it'll flip me to getting. Or I could go here and choose and go to a different subfunction. So either the left nav or these tabs will toggle you back and forth from the 4 key functions. If you want to edit the function title, so get rid of getting, doing, guiding, running, or whatever you're calling it, change that altogether, you just click here where it says edit function title. It's pretty intuitive. And you just put in the new function title and hit save. Right here under subfunctions, this is where everything related to the subfunctions is controlled. So you can create a new subfunction, you can edit the ones that exist already, or you can delete a subfunction. So everything related to subfunctions is here in the subfunction tab. Another cool thing related to subfunctions is you can now expand or collapse over here. So this is a button that I just pressed all the way to the right here. So it's collapsed my subfunctions, and I don't see the processes inside of them anymore. So this is a good thing to do if you're just trying to zero in on the processes of one subfunction. So now I click financial management and I see the 2 processes within it. And then I can close it up again if I want, or I can go to finance and expand this subfunction. You can also reorder the subfunctions just by dragging and dropping. So I'm just holding my mouse click down, I'm dragging up and down to find a different order for them. You can also do that when the processes are showing. So I can still, even though they're not collapsed, I can still drag the subfunctions up and down. So if you have a list of a subfunction that has a lot of processes in it for whatever reason, collapse all the other ones and then you can see the processes you have. All of this is drag and drop also. So I can take processes and move them up and down, or I can take one from this subfunction and move it into this one. I have to have it expanded. So drag and drop from one subfunction to another. And then remember this collapse expand. When you hit, collapse it there, or then it'll expand it back here. Everything related to processes is under this processes tab. There's only 2 things. You can create a process and then you can delete a process. So create a process, super straightforward. Just hit create, put the name in, choose the subfunction. It's basically the same as it was before. Delete is different though. Before you had to drag the process to the delete folder to delete it. Now if I click processes and I go delete, now I'm seeing all the processes that are in this function in alphabetical order. So we're in running the business, so I'm seeing all of the running the business processes here. They're not organized by subfunction, they're alphabetical. So you just zero in on the the first letter of the word of the process that you want to delete, and then you just hit delete, and then that process goes away. Okay. So that's the highlights of the new release. I'm going to go back to the org chart. And let's talk about organization chart, unless anyone has any questions. So I think I'm going to answer this question now. So someone's asking about read only and create users and them not seeing the 4 functions list. So in the new release, we decided to eliminate the 4 functions for non-admin users. So anyone who's a non-admin user, let me go here just to show people what that means. So this is my user list here. The people with the green keys are admin users, and you can have as many admin users as you want. Everyone else is what we call a user. And what that means is that that user gets restricted access. So if we go here to user access, you'll see that Mary here has read-only access to the bookkeeper position. She has create access to the customer service position, and she has edit access to the sales assistant. So what that means is all she can do is read the processes on this job description. She can't edit or change them. On this job description that she has access to, she can create new processes for that job description, and she can edit and change the ones that are there. Edit means she can just edit what's there. I did that in the reverse order. So read is the lowest level of access. Edit is up from that because you can edit what's there. And create is the highest level aside from being an administrator. Create means you can not only edit and read, but you can create new processes. So for non-admin users, there's really no reason for them to be able to go to the 4 key functions and look at that at all. And we found through studies that we've done that if we simplify things, it makes it easier for people to use TouchStone, because these people, particularly this person that's just reading things, all they really need to do is go to the dashboard. They can go to the Org.Chart and they can see the Org.Chart structure and access their job description from there. But really, they just need to go here because they can read and print and use the processes from the control panel on mobile devices anywhere, and that's all that's necessary. So let's just quickly log in as one of these users so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're logging in as Mary here. So all she sees here is her control panel. And if you look over here, there's no 4 functions. So this is what this person's question was about. Again, we're just trying to make it simpler for non-admin users. There's no reason for them to go into the 4 functions and view things and add. They can't even add things anyway. It's much simpler for them just to be able to go to the Org.Chart. They see the Org.Chart, and then they see these boxes illuminated according to what access they have. So since she has read-only access to bookkeeper, when I select this, I see the bookkeeper position and I see all the processes, but I can't add anything to it. I can't edit or change it. I can go to the processes, and then I can see, the work plans and the checklist, all the documents within it, but I can't edit or change anything here. So if I go back here to the Org.Chart, and this position she had create access to, so now these boxes are illuminated where she can add new processes to this job description, and she can edit and change the content that's already there. Okay, so if that didn't fully answer your question, just send me another message and I'll try again. Okay, so now we're back in the main TouchStone account. So I'm going to go here to Organization Chart. So I showed you the basic functionality of the Organization Chart. That only takes a few seconds because it's not that difficult. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about strategies for building a good organization chart. So organization charts, I think, are really helpful when they're built for the future. So think about your business in the future. I think around 2 years out is a good time frame, anywhere between 1 to 2 years. If you get more than 2 years out in envisioning your business of the future, it's just a little bit too hard to make that practical. Obviously, it's up to you, but I've found in my work with organization strategy that 2 years is usually a good time frame. So think about what your business will look like in 2 years, and then build the organization chart as a picture of that business in the future. A good tool to have to do this is some kind of plan, some kind of vision for your business. If you don't have that done already, if you go to guiding the business here, there's some processes that we have in our library that you can use to document a vision. There's one here called strategic planning, which I think is pretty good. It goes through all these series of work plans that kind of helps guide you in how to create a strategic plan. There's questions down here that you can answer. Like, what line of business are you in? What's the size of your company and your growth objectives, geographic scope? So you can link this to the CEO's job description, and then on the dashboard, go to this form and actually fill it out. And that's all you really need to create your vision. It also has other tools in it, like annual priorities. So you can say the annual priorities for 2019 are to do this, to increase sales, to have better customer service, to have better conversion, and then you can write, what you need to do to make that happen, and then you could break it into quarters and then plan out your work for each quarter in order to get to the annual objectives here. So take a look at the strategic planning process if you don't have a vision or a plan already. It doesn't need to be some big, long, fancy business plan. It could just be one sheet of paper that says, this is what our goals are for the next 2 years. Once you have the financial goals, your sales goals, then that's really all you need to then go and start building a future organization chart. So you want to ask yourself, if you're going to grow 50% over the next 2 years, well, then what positions are going to be necessary? What positions will be required in order to achieve that growth? So starting from the top here, this is the board of directors box, and this box is in the template chart that everyone gets. Sometimes people ask me, how do I get rid of this box? I would say don't get rid of that box, because this represents the shareholders. This represents the owners of the company. This is you as the entrepreneur. The objective of the board is to increase the value of the business, to increase dividends to shareholders, to build the asset so that it's producing a net profit that they get revenue from. That's a much different mindset than the mindset of all these people down here, or even the president. These people down here are worried about their paycheck and growing their department and all the issues that they have to worry about. They're not necessarily thinking about how to maximize the value of the business. That's a much different planning mode and work mode. So leave this box. I mean, if you want to call this owners, or you want to call it whatever you want to call it, just I think the fact that it's there is important. Below the box, the board of directors or owners box is usually president, CEO, general manager, whatever terminology you like. This is the person who takes direction from the board and implements the strategies of the board within each of the departments down below. So this is a highly managerial position that manages the key departments. The key departments are typically sales and marketing, getting the business, operations, production, service delivery, or doing the business, and then admin, finance, HR, the support department, or running the business. So these 3 departments match the 4 key functions. These managerial positions, this is all guiding the business. Every managerial position deals with strategy and management. The president manages the key managers of each department. Now, some of you are growing your businesses and are small, so you may be the president and the sales and marketing manager and the operations manager right now. You may also be the bookkeeper. I hope not, but you might be. So remember this when you're building your future chart, because you're building it for the future doesn't mean that it isn't reality right now. Because the reality of it is, if you're the president and the sales and marketing manager, you need to be doing the work of the president and the work of the sales and the marketing manager. And if you structure it this way using the organization chart, you can start to see the work each position is supposed to be doing, even though it's all you. This happens on a tactical level as well. So you may have an advertising person who's also the salesperson currently. But as the business grows, you want to break these 2 positions apart, because generating leads and all the work regarding advertising is vastly different than what a salesperson should be doing, which is converting those qualified leads. So think about your vision, think about what's going to be required in the future, and then design the best organization structure to meet those goals. Think about it anew. Don't consider personalities and people dependency and this guy you've got doing this and that guy here. Let all that go and think about this from an entrepreneurial point of view and structure out your organization from a building perspective, not a people and personality perspective. Look at it from above and decide what does it need to look like when it's operating in the most efficient way possible. So let's talk about each of these departments and just some strategies for organizational design. So this is the sales and marketing department here. Generally in sales and marketing, there definitely needs to be a manager. There needs to be a managerial presence above every department, even if it's you filling multiple roles. This box should always be here. I think it's tragic when I see things like this, where we've got, all of these technical positions here off under president, and there's no manager. And it's off because in a functioning business, the president can't be everything. You can't manage every department and all the people. So even if you decide to call this lead salesperson, have a managerial presence above each of the departments. So inside of this any sales and marketing department, typically there's lead generation activities and then there's sales activities. So the manager sets the plan and then the technicians implement those plans, implement the advertising techniques and processes, and implement the sales processes. With advertising, the activities that occur are lead generation activities, proactive lead generation. So it's not referrals and word of mouth and whoever comes to us. There needs to be actual processes that you've documented within this department that will help you to grow your business with the implementation of those processes. So social media, cold calling, SEO, pay-per-click, seminars, webinars, networking, all of these activities that when you put time into them produce qualified leads. So when you're thinking about your future organization structure, and if you say to yourself, we're going to grow the business by 50% over the next 2 years, well, this is where it starts because you need to have enough leads to then convert to then grow. So think about your lead generation activities and what's going to be required in order for the business to grow proactively. Now, I was talking to a TouchStone user the other day, and he said to me, I don't need to do any advertising processes because we have so many leads from word of mouth and referral, we can't even handle all the leads. Well, that might be true in the present situation. There's a lot of issues with that, but here's one big issue. That might be true now, but if he tries to scale his business, like grow it by 50%, he's going to run out of those leads. And he can't count on them because when he goes to hire technical people over here, that's an investment. And if he can't count on the leads coming in a regular way, he's going to overspend here and run out of leads. In addition, when you just react to leads coming in, you're getting a lot of unqualified leads, and you're getting a lot of leads that might not be the best for your business. So you're spending a lot of time trying to make people happy who should never have come to you in the first place, and you're just accepting it all because that's all you get. So think about this is a science here. So think about the advertising processes, identify those in TouchStone, and plan on implementing them. So once all the qualified leads are coming in, then this department kicks in, the salespeople. So you want to think about, as your business grows, leads coming in, salespeople converting those leads. How many salespeople are you going to need? How many will be required? How much time will they be spending? What is your sales cycle like? So think about, it's not an exact science, but guesstimate it. It's better than not guesstimating it. So think about leads coming in, the time it takes to convert a lead, the salesperson's time required. If it's order taking, it's a lot less than that. But if it's a consultative sales process, then clearly that's more difficult. count on the fact that you will have qualified leads coming in if you do good advertising, and then salespeople who will convert those in a consistent way if you have a sales process. So think about your conversion rate. If it's 50%, how could you make it 70? How could you make it 80 with qualified leads? That's all about the sales process. So quantify this whole department, and when you're envisioning your business for the future, think about these dynamics of lead generation and lead conversion. Different lead generation sources and the amount of qualified leads coming in, and then conversion rate over here. So then moving on to operations. So this is where the service delivery happens. This is where the production happens. This is where the operations happens. Depending on your kind of industry, it's different based on industry, but the theories are the same. The theory of building good organization structure is the same. If you're delivering a service, you have to have service delivery people. If you're delivering a product, well, you have to have people who are building that product, technicians, production staff. If you're dealing with materials and warehousing and inventory, then you'll need a department like that. So structure the main functions based on your industry, and then start to think about scalability. This term scaling is like really become a buzzword in the last 5 or 6 years. It used to be called just growing your business, but scaling brings a whole other meaning to it. It's like, how do you take something that's working and then exponentially build it effectively and efficiently? So one technique within an operations, production, service delivery department is having levels like this. So this is the entry level, this is the lead level, and this is the senior level. This is the assistant. We hire people here, and then we move them up here. This is called growing your own talent from within. So they start here, then they move here, and then they move here. So this is developing, it's training, it's building your operational department. So it's a different kind of theory than maybe some of you are used to. And it takes attention, it takes money, and it takes time. But it's really the only way to scale efficiently. You can't go out in most industries and say, let's go find senior technicians who know how to do everything already. That is kind of a misnomer. I think it's perpetuated by the fact that sometimes you do find a good senior tech. Maybe you steal them from one of your competitors, or someone new moves into town and suddenly, oh yeah, I have all those skills and experience. I'll come work for you. But usually it's not that way. And for those of you who think it's that way all the time, you're saying things to yourself like, I can't find good people. Nobody does it like this guy. Everybody's uneducated. We can't find good employees. They aren't out there. Everyone's lame. I can't train them. They don't know what they're doing. And it's because you're looking for something that sometimes it's like a needle in a haystack that you might find. A better philosophy to grow a business is to realize the fact that you need to grow your own talent from within. Hire people here, move them up here, and then move them up here. So in an apprentice position, there should be processes on the job description for what the apprentice needs to learn. So this apprentice position has to learn the pre-delivery orientation, the labor and productivity processes, as well as scheduling, clocking hours. So once this apprentice position learns all these processes, then they move up here. And when they're the lead technician, they need to know everything the apprentice knows and all these other things. Production changes, inventory control, scheduling. So the org chart will guide you in this growing your own talent from within. When they're moved up to senior, they need to know everything this position does, and now what the senior tech does. So when you build it this way in TouchStone, you can also start to put some time and money to it. So if you hire a college or a high school educated kid out of high school, they don't know anything. You put them here, it'll take them 2 months. If they have the basic manual skills or whatever skills you're requiring, it'll take them 2 months to master the apprentice. Then they move here and it takes them 6 months to master the lead, and then they're here. So that's 6, 7, 8 months to get from here to here. So then you can say to yourself, okay, well, what does it cost me to have an apprentice technician for 2 months? What is what is their salary or their hourly wage? What is the management time? Add all that up and put a number to it. Then what does it take here for this 6 months? Now suddenly you know it's going to take 8 months to move people to here, and it's going to cost you $20,000. Well, that's an important thing to know in terms of organization strategy and scaling a business, because if I'm going to invest $20,000 to move people from here to here, I have to know that the leads are coming in and the sales are happening so that when they get to here, they're fully trained and ready to go in a profitable way. So the organization chart, along with the job descriptions and the processes you've put inside of each of these boxes, helps you with the scaling of your business. So the structuring of this organization chart, if you're building it for the future, helps you to see it. And this is muddy water for a lot of small businesses. It's a very difficult thing to decide when is it time to start to invest in operations when we don't have enough sales yet. It's a balancing act between this department and this department, always. It's an up and down. If you had all the money in the world, you would invest in this department, get these people fully trained, have 10 people sitting here ready to go, ramp up your sales and marketing, put a lot of money into that, convert those, and then within a year, you might have a successful business. But most of us don't have that luxury. We're trying to make something out of what we have. And so this balancing act between sales and marketing and operations is always there. In fact, I used to be an efficiency expert, and this is the reason that small businesses go out of business. They run out of money. And it's because they've invested ahead of the curve here. They thought they hired these great senior technicians, but when they actually started to work, they were making mistakes. They had cost overruns. They had labor issues. The gross profit went through the roof. They looked at their financial statement at the end of the month and said, where'd all the money go? We had the best sales month ever. Well, all the money went to these people and all the mistakes they made and all the time that it took to do it because they weren't trained. So think about the dynamics in your own situation between these two departments and areas, and then construct the departments to try to plan for the best case scenario. Over here, this last department, this is sales and marketing. This is admin, finance, human resources, IT. This is the support department. And I say that because this department is often considered the overhead, but it's really the support. The work that goes on here supports everyone else over here. So there's a level to this support department that is necessary for every business. There are positions that are necessary. And the work that they do is absolutely critical to the profitability of everyone else here and the efficiency of everyone else. So what I mean is, if you don't have a bookkeeper who's there working, has good processes, creates the P&L, enters all the timesheets, is up on the payables, tackling the receivables like it was the most important thing on earth, because getting your money in a timely way is. So all the work that a bookkeeping finance position does, on time, every month, by the 5th of the month, I have a P&L that shows exactly what went on that last month. If you don't have that, then you're have a huge handicap in dealing with anything that's going on over here. So this is why this position, the finance, is in support of the rest of the company. If I don't know as a production person what my cost of goods sold was for the last month, I have no hope in making sure that I'm profitable. If I have to look 3 months in the past to see what the cost of goods sold is, or the cost of service, then it's just such a huge handicap. There's really no way this person can manage the efficiency of the department. If there's not someone who's saying what sales were, what the advertising cost was, what the cost of sales was in a timely way, then these people are in the dark trying to figure it out. Reception. This is probably pretty straightforward, but to the degree that this person is here answering phone calls, filing things, getting paperwork done, giving me things that I need to do my job, is to the degree that all of these people do not have to do that and are more focused on their results, delivering the products or services, selling the products or services. And then I always throw IT in here. I mean, a lot of you aren't big enough to have IT positions, which is fine. Usually small businesses don't. But this should be outsourced and should be focused on. If your computers go down, it's a big deal. If you don't have good software, like a CRM or a productivity process, project management process for these people, that's not implemented and everyone's trained in it, then that also hinders your profitability. So think about some of these dynamics, consider your goals, and build your organization chart for the future. Once you've got a good organization chart built, think about the present situation. So that's the next step. Build the chart for the future, consider your future goals, consider your vision, and then marry the present situation with your future goals. So this chart inside of TouchStone is not some theoretical exercise. You do build it for the future, but then you marry the present situation with this future chart. So how that happens is you look at all the people you have currently working for you, all your employees, and you start putting their names in the boxes. How you do that in TouchStone is you go up here to Account Administration, and you go to the users. So you put all your employees on the user list. Then you go to each employee one at a time, and you go up here to Control Panel, and you give Jack a control panel for the positions he fills. So if he's a salesperson, he's also the sales and marketing manager maybe. Now he's got 2 control panels. And then maybe he's the IT person. I don't know. But you put in this person's name into the positions they fill on the org chart. So you can put Jack's name in the box of the org chart actually on the org chart itself if you want to, but this is how TouchStone does it. And TouchStone knows that he fills these 2 roles. So let's go to me here and control panel. So I'm going to remove this control panel. So let's imagine that I'm the owner of the company. Boom. I have this box. I'm the president. I have this box. And then I'm also the admin finance manager. And now I have this box. So because this is a future chart and my business is growing and I'm envisioning it for the future, I have these 3 boxes on the chart. If we go here to the dashboard, you'll see I have these 3 control panels now defined. If there are processes on these job descriptions, which there should be, when I'm going to work in the morning, I could say to myself, well, on Monday afternoons, I'm going to think like an owner. I'm going to do the work of the board of directors. Every day of the week from 10 to 4, I'm going to do the work of the president. On Fridays and Mondays in the afternoons, I'm going to do the work of the admin finance manager. Suddenly, I can kind of see the different hats I'm wearing, and I can parse it out if I need to. So when I go to this control panel, I see all this work that I'm accountable for as the finance admin manager. So this is how TouchStone organizes it for you. So when I say put names in the boxes, that's what I mean. Go to Account Administration and do it. Or if you need to, you could go here and put it in the title. You could put the name of the person who fills this role. It's totally up to you. In one of the next releases of TouchStone, we're implementing functionality where you can put pictures in these boxes if you want to. And there could be multiple pictures if necessary. So that'll be cool when that happens. So fill everyone's names in the boxes for currently what they're doing. Sometimes it's super straightforward. You have 1 salesperson, their name goes here. Or you have 3 and you assign them all to this role. Other times you're going to have people that work for you that are the multitaskers. They're accountable for a lot of things. And generally that happens because you hire someone and you may have intended for that person to be the bookkeeper, but they were so good at all the computer stuff that you had them do IT, and then suddenly you were trying to do social media and this person said they knew how to do that. So suddenly they're doing this and then trying to do other advertising things. And then they're really good on the phone, so you're going to make them customer support. So this person has got their name here and here and here and here. 4 different positions. Well, I can see that objectively now because I've built this future org chart. But before the future chart, there was this person who was accountable for everything all over the place. The multitasker. Very people dependent you are on them because they know how to do so much all over the place. Being that person is a very difficult job to have because they come to work every day and they're pulled in 1,000 different directions. They never feel like they get anything done. They're constantly being told new things to do. They probably have a good attitude, so they're like, yeah, I'll do it. But it's stressful to have all that on you. Talk to anyone in your company who remotely resembles that description, and they will tell you it's a very stressful situation to be in. If you're a manager or the owner of the company on the line, imagine how you feel because you're here and here and here, and the phone's ringing, and you got to get the sales out, and oh my God, the budget's not done, and you're pulled all over the place. It's crazy making. You're doing that to your employees too. So if you have a person like that, my advice would be, first of all, put their names in the boxes for what they're doing and give them control panels on the dashboard so they can see it like this. It's helpful to see it like this. They can see, I'm this position, I'm this position, I'm this position, and this is the work of each one of these positions. They'll never be able to do all that work, every single piece of that work, but you could then help them out even further by going to the control panel here and creating a group and say, do not use or do not do. And then take things that they just don't have any hope of doing anytime soon and move it in there. And just have them look at, so I was supposed to put it here, just have them focus on the things that are essential. So take this, do not use, I'm just dragging, bring it all the way to the bottom. So this is for when a future person is the president. Just move all that work down here and have it just here, the key things that they need to do in this role. So if I know that was kind of fast, but if anyone has any questions about that, you can email me. But this is something a technique you can do by using the control panel to help people who have multiple accountabilities across the organization organize their work a little bit more. So with marrying the future situation with the present situation with the future chart, put people's names in boxes for the work that they're doing now. If you can keep people's work within one department, it's way better for you. So what I mean is, if you have a guy named Bob, and he's the bookkeeper, and he's the customer support person, and he's the salesperson, that is lack of uniformity of work. So uniformity of work is an organizational design principle. And what it says is, each department should have uniform work. So this is getting the business. These people are sales and marketing, get leads, convert leads. These people are operations, delivering the product or service from beginning to end, delivering it. So when you have somebody who's this position and this position, they don't have uniform work, and it's stressful and more difficult and less efficient. And so you probably can know what I mean, because if you sit down in front of your desk and you know you have to make sales calls, and then suddenly a customer's calling saying that their service wasn't delivered correctly, and then the warehouse's associate is saying that you need more inventory, you're all over the place. It's not uniform. It's not efficient. In addition, you hire people with these abilities. So sales and marketing people good ones have a way different mindset and a way of being than operational staff does, or admin finance. These are the organized people. These people sometimes are chaotic, but they're very creative, and they're go-getters, and they're extroverts. So when you take someone who has certain qualities and you break them in this lack of uniform work, what that means is your business is less efficient. Sometimes you don't even see it. We call it holes in the bucket. It's just lack of efficiency all over the place. Cost overruns, everything's taking twice as long as it needs to. So my advice would be, if you have a person like that, see what you can do to move them to one department. Way better scenario than having them spread across the organization. If you can't do it right away, make a plan. to hire a bookkeeper and move that person out of that role into one they'll be more successful with. Another rule about marrying the present with the future is there shouldn't be two people's name in one box. There shouldn't be two people who are accountable for the same position. So I don't mean if you have 5 salespeople, clearly 5 people can all fill this sales box because they're all doing the work of the salesperson. You could have 5 apprentice people. You can't have 5 bookkeepers. The only way to have 5 bookkeepers is if you build accounts payable position, accounts receivable, collections. Well, now you have 5 positions there, all doing different work. But you can't have the work of the bookkeeper and say, well, now I've got 3 people who are doing that because one person's this and that. You can't have 2 operations managers. You can't have 2 presidents. You can't have 2 sales and marketing managers. And the reason is, if 2 or 3 people are accountable, then nobody is accountable. I see this all the time with when the telephone rings and it's a sales call. Well, whoever is available is going to answer it. Right. No, not whoever's available. Somebody needs to be accountable. So think about if you've got a situation like that, and it generally comes from promoting people beyond their capabilities just because you need help. And then they never fully can do that position because they were never trained for it and there are no processes for how to do it. So that scenario would be, I'm the president and I've got this really great salesperson, and I know I need a manager in sales so I can do more presidential things and I don't have to deal with the marketing stuff. So I'm going to promote this person up here. And now I'm counting on them to do all that work, but I never trained them. There's no processes. They don't know how to do it. They probably never managed before. So they start to fail. So then I step back in and say, okay, well, I'm going to do this and this because you just can't do it. So now suddenly we're both the sales and marketing manager. And all these people don't know who their boss is because I always step in and deal with things because this person's not handling it. But then what does this person do? So you've completely sabotaged that whole scenario. So the best case for that is if you have that situation going on, move that person back down into lead sales, which is sometimes harder to do than others. Move them back to lead sales, work on the processes for this position, get them all dialed in, and then promote them back up if you want to, or recruit for a new sales and marketing person. I know that was kind of fast and furious because we spent a lot of time on the new release, but are there any questions? Oh, okay. I've got a few kind of technical questions people are asking. I do see those questions, but I'm going to email you directly about those because I think they're things that I have to show you. There's 2 great processes from the process library that really go well with building your organization strategy. One I already showed you, which is the strategic planning process. I think some version of that is essential to growing, to building a good organization strategy because you need to know what your sales goals are. I mean, if anything, you need to know that so that you can grow this or build this for the future. The second is, and everyone's going to cringe, it's called budgeting. And it is, where is it? Oh, I'm in the wrong function. So this process is from the library, and it's simply called budget creation. So why this is important to organization strategy is when you're envisioning this chart of the future, you need to test or at least have some checks and balances for what you've created. So building a budget, and I'm going to go to this one because I think it's built out, can help you plan this out a little bit. So in a budget, and you can do this by quarters of the year. So this shows quarters of the year. So I put in the current quarter, what the sales were, what all my expenses are, and I get a net profit there at the bottom. And then in Q2, I've planned on hiring a bookkeeper and hiring my first apprentice technician. I know that's going to cost me a certain amount of money, so I plug those salaries in here, that hourly rate, and then I see what sales need to be. And then I go to Q3, and then I go to Q4. You could even do this by years. It doesn't have, never do it by months. It's just too, when you're strategic planning like this, it's just too unpredictable. So do quarters of the year or actual years. So 2019, 2020, 2021, roughly what do sales need to be for you to fully actualize your organization strategy? So put numbers to each of these positions, your future positions, plug them back into the spreadsheet and see if you're profitable. See what sales need to be. Plug in numbers for your lead generation. Make it 2, 3, 5% of sales going towards lead generation. See what that looks like. See what your conversion rate needs to be on those sales given your sales cycle, and see how it all plays out in this budget template. Never done anything like this. This is a great strategic exercise. It's not perfect, but it's better than not doing it. If you're wondering about what profitability should be for your business or what a typical salary is for a person like this, there's a great website called salaries.com, and you can plug in your geographic area, and then it pulls up different positions at that and shows you their salary levels or ranges. Next week, we're going to be talking about job descriptions. So I'm going to highlight all of the functions of the job description, technically how to use the job description. But more to the point, we're going to talk about how to use job descriptions as a management tool. So for those of you who have managers, this is a great session to have your managers listen to or be in the call. Job descriptions are the absolute best management tool a manager could ever have. They are the primary management tool. They're the tool that if a manager doesn't have, they have no chance of being an effective manager. So I'm going to tell you why that is and show you exactly what I mean by that next week. So I'll answer your questions over email, and I'll talk to everyone else Thursday at 10 Pacific next Thursday. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.